first thing you're going to do when you see him?
Kiss them. Give them a hug.
Similar thoughts ran through the minds of these wives and girlfriends, fathers and mothers. 33 soldiers left Fort Sill 3.5 months ago for Lebanon. 29 came home. For those waiting, the final moments seemed an eternity.
You want a baby sister, huh?
These men were relieved over the weekend, immediately replaced by 33 others. For now, Lebanon is behind them. Foremost on their minds are their loved ones.
Give me a big kiss. Bigger kiss. Love you, huh?
I love you.
I love you too, babe.
Lebanon is left behind, but not forgotten.
Actually, it brought us closer together because there was an emotional tie there, and also the friendships had been established. We all chipped in and did those things that our lost comrades had accomplished earlier.
It's a wonderful Thanksgiving present. We have a lot to be thankful for.
And then it was time for formalities, words of appreciation, and decorations for a job well done.
Sergeant Hanks, congratulations and welcome home.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Terry Cook, Action 4 at Fort Sill.
I'll be home till Sunday and be home for some good food.
Yeah. Got plenty of that.
That's what I came home for. It's good food. And see my girlfriend.
You came home for us. What do you think? This is our baby. We are so proud of all of our children.
When one performs, one thinks of performing in front of an audience. But this audience was on stage in the form of a panel of judges. 175 Oklahoma City area hopefuls played to those judges at the Kirkpatrick Auditorium at OCU. They are hoping to land a part with Nashville's Opryland. Only a few will be chosen. 20-year-old Marie Lawrence Denvers is a student at OCU majoring in dance, and butterflies were dancing in her stomach.
I was scared because I had one of those high notes that I knew I wasn't going to hit, and I didn't hit it, but it's okay, I got through. And the tap was fun, and I forgot the dance, but it was still fun. And that's really all I can tell you. It's nervous, but if you get into what you're doing, if you just dig deep down somewhere, really, and try to show them that you care, that you're there, you're not just singing a song or doing a dance, then it works.
The Opryland Talent Scouts say they will notify those who didn't make it by letter, those who did by phone call sometime in January. So for these young entertainers, it's too early to pack their bags and move to Nashville. Bella Shaw, Action 4 at OCU.
Our technical investigators have been working every day since finding the child back on the 17th of this month. And this morning, they were able to make a positive identification from a footprint from the body of the child that was found, comparing it to the print on Janelle Fowler's birth certificate, was able to get what they call enough identification points to make a identification that we're confident will stand up in court.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for waiting.
They buy 20% of their first year's salary in stock.
Why does that make a difference? What did you think?
It positions our people as shareholders in this company, so they have the interest that a shareholder has in a corporation, but they're also the major contributors to the success of the company, so they have a joint interest in the welfare of America West.
But if they should, no one would be too great a price to pay. And at that point, the timing is going to come a little bit later on for the economy to be able to do that. I think it's perfectly possible that during the late spring of '84, that revenues could be flowing in to the point where most of the appropriations would be covered.
Print all these three out.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
During a regular spring semester, we have 2 8-week sessions. These are very, very popular with people with busy schedules. Those students there would total about 3,500. That would also mean we would lose an approximate 50 FTE instructional personnel. Those are part-timers and supplemental people that we use, and they help us. They not only help us during the 8-week terms, they help us during the 16-week terms.
What part is wrong?
I haven't figured it out yet.
No accuracy on here at all.
Nope, no, that's it. I'm not a hand.
Sure, copy.
We had a lot of battles later on, and it never left no impression or no feeling really like it did at Pearl Harbor.
Preparedness is and must continue to be our way of life.
For these four men, the images of that day are no less vivid now than when they lived through it 42 years ago. They got together today to remind us. For them, there is no forgetting.
After we got to far and after we broke the ready boxes open, why, that was kind of fun, you know, young and all like that. I didn't mind that. But then picking up survivors, boy, that eat me up. People crying and taking on, and then the water and burnt.
Some who stop their shopping to watch the ceremonies have their own memories of Pearl Harbor. Others will know it only from a history book. But those who were there say maybe it's good once a year for everybody to remember.
I think they should remember this day and remember Pearl Harbor and keep America alert.
Jeff Fowler, Action 4.
You couldn't have gotten any more worried state hospital workers into the auditorium at Children's Memorial Hospital if you'd used a shoehorn. Last year, the state's largest agency was hit harder than most. More than $70 million was hewn from the budget, and more than 1,200 workers were either laid off or resigned without being replaced. Today, DHS Director Bob Fulton was telling the workers not to worry. This year, the sales tax, which is set aside specifically for human services, is almost keeping pace with the budget. And by cutting back on spending, the agency has been able to build a cushion. But Fulton admits that all is not rosy.
It would not be fair and equitable, as seen by many, to allow DHS to continue operating at the present planned level when other parts of state government were undergoing a 23% reduction.
Fulton told the workers he doesn't really expect any of state government to take the kinds of cuts that are being predicted. He doubts anyone will find a 23% cut acceptable. And once state lawmakers have trimmed where they can, he says he thinks they will go ahead and raise new revenues. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4, at Children's Memorial Hospital.
Services in the field and reduced forces in the field and did not touch central office, that come in with a plan to reduce the central office staff by 50%. We cut everything by 50%. But somewhere between cutting 50%, and I'm telling the people in the department that don't look for Santa Claus to come or for Superman to swoop down out of the sky, and don't look for a major tax increase come January. That the things that we do now may become the way that the department operates, and the belt tightening that occurs here may not be saved by some kind of major action in the legislature.
are you, John? Another one for John.
Maybe you can get over here kind of just behind her there, okay? Yeah, there you go. Santa, you can be, there you go.
Here with Mom.
You lay it down?
Give him the needles.
I'm Scott Wallace. Hot check writers. I'm Scott Wallace. Hot check writers will soon soften the budget blows in the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office.
I can't really do anything about your bank charge. If you want to go ahead and bring that check in, we'll run it through the program and try to collect it for you.
For the past 9 months, the DA has been recovering money lost on bogus checks written to Norman merchants. The hot check writers must pay a $40 or $60 service charge to the DA for each bad check. The Cleveland County prosecutor plans to use part of the bogus check fund to help pay employees during the next 2 months.
To meet the shortfall, we've had to furlough all of our employees 2.5 days this month to help soften that blow a little bit for our employees. We've been able to utilize funds in our bogus check program so that some of the employees will be able to work some of that time in the bogus check program.
Ironically, criminals apparently are not subject to budget cutbacks. The Norman District Attorney has filed 40% more felony cases this year than last year. The Norman DA currently has about $16,000 in his bogus check fund. That should pay for a couple of furlough days. But after January, the DA will either have to begin collecting a huge number of hot checks or else begin furloughing more employees for longer periods of time. Scott Wallace, Action 4 in Norman.
It's an ordinary reaction to seeing Santa Claus, yet this isn't an ordinary child. Heather is deaf, a member of a silent world that doesn't normally include such luxuries as a signing Santa Claus. He's a very pleasant surprise for the hearing-impaired class at Monroe Elementary, one that makes each and every one of them a part of the biggest season of the year. It was 5 Christmases ago when Andy Hall first put on his suit of magic to sit at North Park Mall. For each year, he has been given a tiny miracle in return.
I've had one occasion where a child sat in Santa's lap and the teacher said all the child can tell you is his name. He's just learning to sign, and so the child told me his name, and then the child tugged on my sleeve and told me a long list of things he wanted. The child could sign, the teacher just didn't know it. It was important, so the child knew how to say what he wanted.
Just by being here today, this signing Santa was able to make one wish come true for all the children. The wish that they, too, could be a part of the true spirit of Christmas. Sherry Sellers, Action 4 at North Park Mall.
The first year of operation is drawing to a close for the Christ Chapel, but things are just beginning for this lady. Patricia Marin and her family came to Oklahoma City from Hawaii with a job supposedly waiting for Mr. Marin. When they arrived, the job was gone, and so was their money. After looking for help in a number of places, Patricia and her family finally found refuge at the Christ Chapel.
If it wasn't for this, we'd be on the streets with 3 kids in the van, freezing to death because it's cold here. You know, everywhere you turn, there's nobody to help you. This has saved our life. But we have to get out and get a place of our own and get the kids in school and get work.
A lot of people just need a little push, but they need something to hang on to. And so you have to give them something that they do themselves, that they feel like they've accomplished. And we feel that if they go out and get a job on their own and they dedicate their family to taking them to church on Sunday, this gives them a step up, someplace to work from.
The Christmas spirit is alive and well at the Christ Chapel, but this holiday season will not be as bountiful as those in the past. But material gain isn't important to these kids right now. They're just happy to be with their family and out of the cold. If you want to make Christmas a little bit happier for the folks at the Christ Chapel, you can call 239-7755 or 324-5813. Any donation will be appreciated.
Come right in, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It was kind of slow. I thought they could have left a lot of it out, and probably would have been better.
They were real good about not trying to put the blame on Kerr McGee, I think. It was real honest.
July 1982, a Pan Am jetliner crashes shortly after takeoff from New Orleans. Investigators say the plane was caught by a sudden and severe change in wind direction called a wind shear.
Runway 35 left, Metro 1091. Affirmative, Metro 1091, taxi 2.
That crash prompted the FAA to speed up its program to put wind shear alert systems at major airports. Remote sensors measure the wind speed at half a dozen locations around Will Rogers Airport. A computer compares the readings. An alarm warns air traffic controllers of a possible wind shear. The controllers pass along that information to pilots.
It does give the pilot a greater view and overall control of his aircraft and what's going on with the wind on the ground and so forth. All the information you can give the pilot, well, that just helps him to make what decision he must make at that time.
The sensors measure only surface wind. They can't tell pilots what's happening 50 or 100 feet above the ground. Hopefully, the system will give pilots a clue as to what's going on with Oklahoma's shifty winds. Scott Wallace, Action Forward, Will Rogers Airport.
Combs is the third legislator to be convicted by a jury this year. Dan Draper and Joe Fitzgibbon were tried in August and found guilty of conspiracy and fraud. Another state lawmaker, Don Denman, was arraigned last week on conspiracy and extortion charges. The trend has other legislators worried. Senator Bernice Kane from Oklahoma City sees public trust eroding away. Kane believes something needs to be done.
Let the people know how much money we had when we came in and how much we have when we come up for re-election and how much we have when we go out of office. I think there's some public perception that campaign contributions can be used personally, and I think we ought to make clear that that is not an option in the future. There's good and bad people in everything, and we have our share of them in government, but we've got a lot of good folks, a lot of fine people, a lot of people who've given time from their family, from their business, because they believe that what they do is right.
The senator feels an ethics committee made up of people outside the legislature would be beneficial. Until then, Kane and other state politicians hope the general public will stand behind them when they convene for a difficult session in January. Kevin Ogle, Action 4.
Most of these children have never experienced live theater, like we said, and as far as the Oklahoma City policemen, most of the time when the children have had contact with the policemen, it's been on a very negative tone when they've been removed from the home or whatever. This gives them a chance to interact with the policemen on a friendly, social basis, as well as experience live theater.
Good morning. Your public television station now returns to the air.
Morning did not come until 3 o'clock in the afternoon at OETA, and it will happen that way at the state-run public television network Monday through Friday for the rest of the month. It's part of a series of cost-saving measures. Furloughs for OETA workers are in effect, too. Every employee here will lose 2 days' pay between now and the end of December. Altogether, the network hopes to save about $28,000 in operating costs. The station's management admits that going off the air may seem drastic, but when a monthly budget is cut by 25%, drastic steps are required.
We've run a very lean operation. We've been very proud of that we could give so much service for the amount of money that's invested from the state. However, the threshold, of course, is very short. And so when there is a major cut, like 1/4 of the monies cut out of your budget in 1 month's time, then certainly that has to be felt.
Allen says the station wants to protect the prime time and weekend programming because it's funded by private donations. But he says he hopes that in the future, drastic steps won't be necessary. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 at OETA.
You know, Christmas really sneaks up on you. Before long, you're back out on the street with that Christmas list in hand. But, you know, giving's what it's all about in the first place. I want you to think about one kind of gift, though, you can't buy in a store. It can only come from you. It's been called the gift of life, and it's one of the most generous things that you can give another person. What I'm talking about is donating blood.
There is no substitute for blood. Without blood donors continually donating blood, we would run out and somebody they know, or it could be them, would come into the hospital and need blood and it wouldn't be there.
Now, would you believe that every 3 3/4 seconds somebody needs a blood transfusion? That's 16 people a minute. Donating blood only takes about 30 minutes of your time. And believe me, it's worth it. One single unit of blood can help as many as 3 people at one time.
Christmas time and New Year's, the holidays, are our most important time of the year as far as blood donations. This is usually the time when people forget about donating blood.
You know, really, the holiday season ought to be a reminder to all of us. We're thinking about giving things to other folks at that time anyway. And giving blood really isn't that big of a problem. It doesn't hurt much, doesn't take long, it's very safe, and it's a heck of a gift. Now, contact your local blood center. They need you, and they'll give you a cookie, too. I'm Dr. Red Duke.